Are we back? I believe we're back, correct?
Yep, we
We
are.
are officially back. Do the people know to refresh? I guess. Okay, now I see in the chat. So I theorized that is DirecTV, Time Warner, maybe they're listening to the show, they're watching the show, and they're like, hey, listen, this guy's going to bash us for not giving him the Dodgers. We're going to take away his internet, too. How about that?
That's what it seems like over here. Obviously I'm forced to have Time Warner. They have a monopoly on the internet industry over here. And I'm not blaming DirecTV, but I'm telling you what, I'm gonna make some calls to Time Warner after lineups lock, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I feel sorry for the poor employee that's gonna have to listen to me.
Yeah, I would not want to be on the other end of that phone call. But I guess now we only have, looks like 28 minutes or so, give or take, assuming we don't cut out again. But I think we're going to be fine going forward, hopefully. We talked about pitchers. Andrew Heaney, right? We all agreed that Andrew Heaney is an absolute stud. At least that's what I heard. As far as catchers, I'm looking at a couple guys. Price-wise on Draft Street, there's some really fair prices. Tell me your top guys.
Well, top overall guy I like tonight is John Jaso. At home, taking on Jake Peavy, who it saddens me to see just is isn't that same pitcher, that dominant pitcher like we're used to seeing. So I'm liking Jaso if you're in the mood to spend. He's not going to break the bank. He's got a very moderate price tag. Got the splits in his favor. He does like hitting at home. And this A's team in general, man, they've been crushing teams all season long. They've got the highest run differential by a long shot. So if the A's are going to score some runs, I think Jaso is going to be involved. Obviously, haven't seen the lineup, but I assume that they're going to have all three of their catchers, Norris, Vogt, and Jaso in there. I expect Jaso to be batting second and DHing, which should help alleviate him from getting pitch hit late in that game. So I'm liking Jaso. In terms of price, it's kind of hard to ignore Brian McCann, especially after the night he had last night. I had him in a couple teams. Ironically enough, I had him over on DraftKings as part of my Angels stack, which did not pay off, along with Kershaw, unfortunately. But that, believe it or not, that team was only about 15 points away from cashing. But that's neither here nor there. Liking McCann's price. Also like Yadier Molina. Starting to turn things around against a very hittable David Buchanan. I think those are my top three options that I've got over on Draft Street today.
Yeah, you hit on all my guys. You don't have to pay up for catcher, and you get pretty much the top catcher of the day. I will say Evan Gattis, if he's in the lineup, he's a great tournament play because I don't think anybody's going to play him against Jordan Zimmerman. And he's more expensive than anybody else, I believe. I'm not recommending for your cash games, but he's got massive power. So, tournament guy that maybe 5 or 10% of people are going to have. I think he's worth a look. But I do agree. Molina, I want to pick on David Buchanan in Philadelphia. I think he's worth being bullied tonight. Brian McCann's way too cheap at 4.2K. He has not been the hitter we want him to be all year, but he's got a nice matchup tonight against an average lefty, I suppose. I guess we can call Hutchinson an average lefty in a friendly ballpark, especially for a lefty. In the same game, maybe for a tournament, we saw Navarro's batting, fifth tonight at 4.5K. Certainly worth a look. And Jason Castro, 4.4K. I'll throw him out there as well. Probably, again, another tournament guy, I would say. And the thing about Jaso, even if the other guys are all in the lineup and he's DHing, Kyle Blanks will steal his at bat sometimes too. That when if a lefty comes up, Kyle Blanks might DH for him like the 8th inning or so. I believe it's happened twice in the last 2 nights, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't mean Jaso can't go 3 for 3. Doesn't mean he can't play the entire game, but just be aware of that. Any other catchers we shall talk about, or shall we move on to first base?
No, you hit the nail on the head. I like Castro as probably a nice alternative if you're not in McCann. McCann will be highly owned, so in a GPP might make sense to fade him, gain an edge, because he's certainly capable of going 0 for 4 with a couple Ks that we've seen so many times this year. But I think he's starting to turn things around. I love his price pretty much across the industry. It's going to be hard for me to fade him. But, yeah, liking Castro is a nice perhaps pivot from him.
Yeah, I guess the only issue, both those guys, they strike out. So you lose points on Draft Street for striking out. So, but the price is low enough where it's worth that risk of those negatives. First base, Edwin Encarnacion, I'm certainly fine with at 9.1K, but I think I'm looking at Brandon Moss right below him.
Yep, I'm right there with you. A guy that has been tearing it up all season long. similar to Jaso, another lefty, should be batting third or fourth in that lineup tonight. Immense power, great splits, everything working in his favor. I'm loving Moss as my top option of the night. Going down from there, I think Jose Abreu, if that game plays, is definitely taking worth a look. This guy Pino, he's 30 years old, making his major league debut, so he's kind of been a minor league journeyman. Doesn't really have any stuff that can get Jose Abreu out, especially a lot of these pitchers. I keep saying the first time they face Abreu, they don't know where to pitch to him because he doesn't really have any holes in his swing that anyone's really been able to figure out quite yet. So if that game gets in and there's no weather concerns, it doesn't look good right now, but Jose Abreu in and around the same price as Moss is definitely in play for me as well.
Yeah, I agree with Abreu. When you were away, when we couldn't hear you, I went a little Pino rant. I think he's worth picking on. I know he's been pretty good this year in the minors, but there's a reason why he's 30 years old and making his major league debut. He was horrendous coming into the season, and the White Sox they're kind of a boom-bust mash type team, and a guy like Jose Abreu, and I guess we can mention Adam Dunn's a DH on Draft Street, but for a tournament play, if that game goes, Adam Dunn, I can see him mashing as well. I think he's like 4 or 5K, pretty reasonable for a tournament. Certainly not for your cash games. If you're a Satanist, I'm not sure if you're a Satanist, but Matt Adams, $6,666 is his price tag today. And like I mentioned, I want to pick on David Buchanan. So I have no problems with that. I like the price tag. They actually moved him up. He's usually like in the 4 or 5 range, which is silly. He's still worth playing at that value. I'm perfectly fine with Matt Adams. I don't like Mark Teixeira. I seem to be the only one that never recommends him. For whatever reason, I have a bias against his wrist injury. I think he's old. I think he's frail. He leaves games early. Are you on him tonight?
The only reason I would play Teixeira would be as part of a Yankee stack. I'm with you that wrist injury has been concerning, and it's been more concerning when he bats left-handed. So if that thing flares up, he can get pulled from that game. His price really isn't that cheap. If you're not on Adams, he's my number 3 option behind Abreu. Then I would go down to Adam LaRoche, who is a pretty safe option. Likes to hit righties. Gavin Floyd is not a guy that's not a very high strikeout guy. I think that LaRoche is in a decent spot, and I love his price pretty much across the industry.
Fair enough. Let's see. Adam LaRoche, I'm perfectly fine with him. Anybody else even cheaper? I write the Draft Street article, and I could not justify anybody under 6K today that I really liked that I could recommend. Do you see anybody down there that catches your eye? Maybe Mike Napoli, I guess. He's more of a tournament play.
Yeah, Napoli's definitely in play. Also, don't sleep on Kelly Johnson. First base eligible if you have to punt the position or if you're looking for a cheap utility spot. Batting ninth is not an ideal spot in the lineup, but hitting in Yankee Stadium, the ball's been flying out of there the last couple nights. With the wind blowing out again tonight, I think that under the radar at a very cheap price, Kelly Johnson, who I believe at least a few days ago was actually leading the Yankees in slugging percentage, believe it or not. Kind of more of a knock on how terrible they've been, but a guy that definitely has pop and in a GPP could definitely fly under the radar. Also, Ryan Howard's been swinging the bat a little bit better lately. If you're not on Shelby Miller, it's a tough call for me, but if you're into coming back to your hometown, Ryan Howard is from St. Louis, so it definitely, if you aren't on Miller at all and you want to stack the Phillies, I wouldn't leave out Ryan Howard, who, like I said, has been swinging the bat much better of late, especially going the opposite way, which is good to see.
I don't mind the Ryan Howard pick. I think it's actually a really solid pick for tournaments. Kelly Johnson, I'm going to sleep all over Kelly Johnson. I'm going to rip Van Winkle all over Kelly Johnson. I have zero interest in him. You can put him second, third, fourth. I don't care where he is in that lineup. I don't like Kelly Johnson. Not playing him, especially when he's batting ninth. So I'm going to shoot that one down. But sure, if he does something, you can taunt me on Twitter later tonight. Fair enough. But no, I'm passing on Kelly. But yeah, you're right. Ryan Howard, unless it's just something that I have like you remember when he does good, you forget when he does bad. But I feel like Ryan Howard does really well in his hometown in St. Louis. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a stat we can pull up, but I don't have it at hand right now. But sure, absolutely for a tournament. Not the best matchup though against Shelby Miller, but for a tournament, yeah, absolutely. Why not? First base. Are we pretty much done with this? We're ready to get out of here.
Yep.
Keystone position, second base, go.
Jose Altuve, man. The guy's been unreal. Continues to get it done, especially if you're not on Archer. I like his potential for steals tonight. Archer is very slow to home plate, and his price, we've seen it a lot higher. So I think Altuve is probably my top option if you're looking to pay up. I also think, kind of similar to Howard, Shelby Miller has pretty much struggled all season long. I know he's turned things around of late, but the most dangerous hitter in that Phillies lineup, in my opinion, is Chase Utley, a guy who's seemingly matchup proof. I'm liking him as well. And then kind of going down from there, Pedroia is against a left-hander, but with his price, he tends to hit lefties better at home than on the road. I don't think he's got the pop to get it out, hit a home run out there in Oakland Coliseum. So I'm not necessarily off of him, but I would only play Pedroia as part of a Red Sox stack. And then going down from there, I think Ben Zobrist is in a decent spot. Who knows how many more days he has left in a Rays uniform. There's been some trade speculation with him, but either way, he's consummate professional, 33-year-old veteran. He's not going to let that affect him. And with his nice discounted price, batting second tonight, I'm liking Zobrist a bit as well.
Yeah, I have no problems with the Zorilla. Just under 5.4K, it's a fair price. Dustin Pedroia, I see Stevie in the chat, and spoiler alert, Stevie comes on next, and I guarantee you Stevie's going to recommend him. I guarantee Stevie's going to roster him. He's both a Red Sox fan, and he's even a bigger fan of BVP. Dustin Pedroia, we know he matches the lefties. Scott Kazmir, in his career, 18 for 35 with 7 extra base hits. So, you know Stevie's going to be all over Dustin, and I don't mind Dustin either. 6.3K, not too ideal. I mean, not to, that's not too expensive. Obviously, we want him in Fenway. Oakland's not an ideal ballpark, but the price, the matchup, sure, why not? I'm not going to argue against it. But Brian Dozier, I know Jose Quintana has reverse splits, but Dozier matches lefties. He steals bases. He hits dongs, and just over 7K is perfectly fine. And I guess Altuve, he actually matches the lefties as well. I wouldn't say mash. He knocks them to death with the base hits and doubles and things like that. But better chance Altuve gets a stolen base against the righty, and I believe he leads the American League in stolen bases. So there's kind of a plus and a minus for you. As long as he gets on base, his chances of stealing a base go up, significantly. So I think that pretty much covers second base. Any cheapies? Danny Espinosa, is he in the lineup today? 2.8K.
Yeah, he's batting seventh, and I'm all over him as a punt play. I think Floyd. Espinosa is a high strikeout guy, but he's also a 20-20 guy. The last few years, he's gotten 20 stolen bases and 20 home runs. So he's got some pop. He can steal a bag. Evan Gattis behind the dish. I think Espinosa is definitely my top option if you're looking to punt second base. And aside from perhaps Tommy La Stella, who's got some nice value, there's not really else much that I like at second base.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna go cheap at second base, I think Danny Espinosa, and he does have some home run pop. He'll strike out for you too as well. But at 2.8K, Gavin Floyd's not exactly a pitcher to be feared or to be to move against. So I have no problems with Espinosa if you're really gonna go cheap at second base. Otherwise, we shall move on. Let's move on to let's go to third. Tell me about third base. What do you like today?
Believe it or not, I think if you're not on your boy, I think David Wright is got to be the top option based on his price. There's really not a whole lot to love at third base, in terms of potential tonight. I know Evan Longoria's kind of turned things around a bit, but I've got Wright based on his price as the number one option. So what are your thoughts on him?
I agree. I think if somebody gets to Heaney tonight, he's not going to have a Heaney's not going to have a clean slate. Let's talk in World Cup terms. I think he'll probably give up a run, maybe 2 runs, something like that. But the guy most likely to disrupt that clean slate would be David Wright. Matches lefties throughout his career. Obviously, he's not exactly had a great year so far. He has hit a home run and a double in his last few games, and that's like about as rousing of an endorsement we can give him. But we're also playing the price. He's a perennial all-star, and he's 5.8K. His talent is more of a 7, 8K range player, at least 6, 7, 8. So we're getting a discount because he's been pretty horrendous of late, and again, he's facing a preferred lefty. Otherwise, I'm fine with Longoria. Again, price, kind of the same story. His stats are not what you want him to be at this point in his career, this point in this year, actually. Anthony Rendon, 6.2K. I don't mind him either. But I think the safest guy for cash, I don't know, it's weird paying up for him a little bit, is Matt Carpenter, 6.5K. Mentioned I want to pick on David Buchanan, and Carpenter leads off, going to get you 4, maybe 5 at bats if things are going well. Always seems to find his way on base, score a run, get a double, things of that sort. He even donged last night, I believe. So don't expect that tonight, but he usually sprinkles in 3, 4 points, something like that.
Yeah, I love Matt Carpenter.
Thoughts on those guys?
Got him as my number 2 option, and would probably be my top option in cash games if you're looking to spend. So yeah, I don't have a problem with Carpenter at all. Not my favorite GPP guy, but if his price fits in your lineups, certainly a guy that rarely burns you.
Give me your favorite GPP guy. Is it anybody? Is it Josh Donaldson at 7K?
No, it's David Wright. I mentioned it. I like him and his price. But aside from that, I would venture down from Francisco if you're perhaps on your boy Haney down there. So Francisco, he's been very cold of late, but he's going to get guaranteed at bats as long as Lowry's out of the lineup. Hitting in Yankee Stadium, I always target those lefty bats from either team. I think that at 54.50, Francisco could be a guy in a GPP that could have a multi-home run game.
What about Connor Gillespie batting third at 4.2K? Assuming that game goes, that seems like a pretty sweet value.
Yeah, I got him as my top value option. I don't know why he's that cheap.
I'm not sure, but I'll take it.
Exactly, at 42.50, he's had big games without hitting a home run. So I don't have a problem with that. A little obviously concerned about the weather. Double check that, but if he's in, all systems go.
Not sure if I mentioned Ryan Zimmerman, but I don't mind having you there at 5.7K. Draft Street has Zimmerman and Anthony Rendon listed as third base eligible, so you got to pretty much pick one of them. Or if you're going to stack that team, you throw the other one at the utility spot. Any other third baseman you want to talk about, or shall we move on to, I suppose it'll be shortstop?
Yeah, well, I'll just say that I like Rendon over Zimmerman. You saw last night, obviously, Rendon hit a home run, stole a base. I think that, they're kind of getting into the, mood to steal early and often in this series against, Evan Gattis. So Rendon, I would have him ranked over Zimmerman on sites where they both, are third base eligible. That's the only thing I want to say.
Last night, the Nationals absolutely picked on Jason Castro. They were stealing all over the place. Jason Castro, I said he was like he was Venus de Milo back there. He could not throw anybody out, and I don't know if it's going to carry over to today, but Evan Gattis is not exactly the greatest catcher in the world as far as defensive purposes, so I can see them doing their best. And it worked for him last night, and why not try it again tonight? And I think Rendon had two steals. I think Span had 2 steals. I want to say Worth had 1, and I don't know if you saw the 1 steal, but it was awesome. Did you see it or no?
I did not.
He was sliding in, and he was going to be out, and he stopped short and pulled that leg up, and then switched legs, and then he snuck his right foot in. It was great. I'm sure there's a GIF on the internet someplace, and it's pretty cool. But I guess now wouldn't be the time to send it to you. Otherwise, all right, shortstop. Tell me what your top shortstop.
Easy way to get injured.
Yeah, well, Jason Worth is durable, so he'll be fine.
Shortstop is really. Yeah. I'm liking Jose Reyes. That's my top option tonight. Ori said, I'm like runs in that game, and I'm going to be targeting the lefty bats. Reyes isn't always a guy you really target for power, but hit a home run in the first game of that series. It's not going to take a lot to get it out in that short porch in Yankee Stadium. Can steal a base if the game's not out of hand, and is an extra base hit machine. So I'm liking Jose Reyes as my top option. He's a bit pricey, pretty much across the industry, but he's the only guy I really feel comfortable paying up for tonight.
Yeah, well, there's no Hanley and there's no Tulowitzki, so he's the clear-cut guy. Nice matchup, nice ballpark. He's on home, but Yankee Stadium is just fine as well as far as hitting. If you're going to go down, Xander Bogaerts this year, small sample size, has absolutely raked lefties. Obviously, Scott Kazmir, I don't think he's the ideal guy to pick on today. I know you're not a fan, but you have to concede he's one of the better pitchers in the day. So, but the matchup, 5.4K, the price is very fair. And Oakland, Jed Lowry, 4.6K. He's one of those guys, at least for me, I rarely target Jed Lowry, but I was like, you know what? These 3 guys don't fit. Oh, Jed Lowry fits. He's going to be 3-4 points, something like that. He's not going to dong, but he'll get me a hit, maybe a double, a couple runs, something like that. And he's not going to kill you. So he's kind of my cheapest shortstop that I'm looking at. What do you have for me?
Yeah, I've got Lowry as my number 2 option overall. It's mostly based on his price. And similar to Carpenter, who's my number 2 option at third base, more of a cash game play. But like you said, if these guys fit nicely in your lineups, at the very least, they rarely are going to burn you. So I think Lowry, not going to steal a base, doesn't have flash the most power in the world, but he puts some of the best swings on every pitch that he does swing at. He rarely misses. I'm liking Lowry, especially at that price.
Ian Desmond, 5.8K. Any interest there?
I like Bogaerts a little bit better than Desmond. I think Bogaerts is a little safer. I know you said you're off of him because of Casimir, but Bogaerts has the third highest OPS against left-handed pitching dating back to last year. And that's right behind guys like Tulo and Hanley. So probably not going to hit a home run tonight, but he's got the power to hit a couple doubles here and there. And then Desmond's more of a GPP play for me, similar to Peralta, who are right up there in the same price range. Guys that can strike out, but do have extra base hit potential and can blow up and have huge monster games.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily off Bogaerts. I'm just saying, lefty at that price, it's pretty much an auto play. But I think Casimir is one of the day's like top 4 or 5 pitchers. So, have some caution. I wouldn't go all in on Bogaerts. Don't mind Alexi Ramirez if that game plays. Again, Pino, I think, is somebody that's worth picking on. I should mention, by the way, there's been some talk in the chat about the lineups page. It is kind of funky right now, the Rotogrinders lineups page. Use some caution. They're doing everything they can to fix it. They're going to fix it ASAP, hopefully. So, we know there's an issue, and it's being worked on and being fixed, hopefully, very shortly. With that, is there any other shortstops you want to talk about, or shall we talk about a little bit of some outfielders, I suppose?
Let's move on to outfield.
All right, give me your top outfielders. Who do you got for me? Roll them out.
Well, there's a lot. I think that, if you've got to pay up or if you want to pay up, Stanton is my top option, hitting at home against a Wheeler who, while he can strike out guys, has very poor numbers on the road this year. Stanton obviously loves hitting at home, and a guy that his price, like with some of these guys, we've seen it a lot higher. So if you're in the mood to pay up, I think Stanton's got to be your top option. Going down from there, I don't mind Matt Holliday, but I'm a little concerned with his price on DraftStreet, especially since only like 2 or 3 games ago he was in the mid 5K range. So I love Holliday and I love picking on Buchanan. I'm with you on that, but I have a little bit of a problem paying up over 7K for him. After that, I'm liking Coco Crisp and Cespedes tonight for the A's. I'm all over these A's bats, and those are the 2 guys. I think Cespedes might be hitting third again, which would certainly bump his value. If you had to choose between the 2, I would go Crisp in cash games, Cespedes in GPPs, but I'm going to do everything in my power to get both of them in my lineups tonight. And then after that, assuming the game plays, I like Josh Willingham a bit. I know his price is up on some sites, but as far as a GPP play, this guy loves mashing lefties, and he's got the pop to get it out there in a spacious field in Minnesota. So obviously monitor the weather on that, but those are the guys I'm liking. I love Melky Cabrera, but I like him more over on FanDuel where he's only like 2,900. Similar to Holiday, Melky and Holiday are in around that same price range over there, and I like him a little bit better over there than paying up for them over here.
Yeah, I completely agree with pretty much everything you said. I like Crisp a lot. Melky is a little bit too pricey here. I like Melky on FanDuel as well. Wouldn't mind him here. I'm not going to talk you out of him, but I think there's better value. Love Coco Crisp. By the way, Giancarlo left last night's game with a wrist injury, but apparently it's not severe enough that he's going to miss the game tonight. Just be aware of it. I guess it was just, not a big deal, apparently. I like the Yankees. At least more specifically, I like Brett Gardner, and I like Jacoby Ellsbury. We're playing the price again. Jacoby Ellsbury at 6.9K, the way he can score. Every once in a while, he sneaks in a home run for you. He can steal a base, doubles, triples, runs, presumably, if they can knock him in. And Brett Gardner as well. I think he hit a home run last night. I know he had a good game. And, same kind of player, sort of like Jacoby Ellsbury light. And I think the prices are both fair. Ellsbury 6.9K, and I think Brett Gardner is 5.8K. So I'm perfectly fine with both of those. You mentioned Toronto's like just a little too expensive for me, and I feel like I'm ignoring them, and I kind of ignored them in my write-up today. You think Toronto stack is in play? They're not for the cash games necessarily, but a guy like Batista going back to first, Edwin Encarnacion, they're kind of expensive. The most expensive guys in the day. Would you recommend them for cash, or they're more reserved, just like Melky as well, who's expensive? would you reserve them just for a tournament play?
Well, it's tough because I think Bautista is always in playing cash games. That being said, his price is astronomical, and it's going to be difficult to fit three quality pitchers in a lineup around Bautista. So I don't think he's in must-play territory at all. Obviously, he doesn't bat left-handed, but he certainly has the power to hit it out of any stadium. So I would say it's more of a GPP play because I don't think a lot of people are going to be inclined to pay up for these Toronto bats, especially the way they've been swinging it of late. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to talk anyone out of it, but in your cash games, it's going to be difficult. So, I'm not on these guys over here per se. It's too pricey, and I'm with you on that.
That's kind of how I feel. So, as far as cheapies, I really like Adam Eaton at home, not at home, but leading off, 4.9K against Pino, of course. Weather pending, I think he's a great play. I'll give the same speech that I gave for Bogarts for Johnny Gomes. He's really cheap. He's really good against lefties. But Kazmir and the big ballpark I have some hesitation for that, but the price is low enough it is worth a shot. Is there any cheapies that catch your eye?
Yeah, I love Eaton. I've got him like Joyce, and I know you were kind of knocking Kevin Kiermaier. But he's been pretty good. His stats, you look at his game logs, and he's hitting 319, but he's also hitting doubles, a few home runs sprinkled in there, hitting third in that lineup. I actually kind of have a sneaky feeling that these Rays bats are going to get to McHugh. I didn't call it, but I said I wasn't on McHugh the last time these two teams met, and obviously the Rays got to him a bit there. Going back home, where I know the Rays bats are a little bit more comfortable hitting, a fly ball pitcher like McHugh is definitely in play for guys like Joyce and Kiermaier, who got a little bit of pop. Also loving Carlos Beltran all the way down there. He's turned around, batting left-handed tonight where I like him, and despite the fact that he's hitting 6 at 45.50, that's simply too cheap for a guy with the potential of his.
Yeah, I didn't mean to sound like I was trashing Kiermaier. I was just saying their lineup looks pretty weak, and I'm perfectly fine with him at his price and his roster spot. And McHugh is not exactly, he's probably one of the better pitchers today, but he's not somebody you want to run away from necessarily. So I'm perfectly fine with Kiermaier. It's cheap enough that I would unleash him. Maybe Denard Span is worth a look, 4.8K leading off. Pretty much you're getting runs and you're getting stolen bases, hopefully. You're not going to get any dongs, even though he did a home run this year. So we got that out of the way. But otherwise, it's creeping up on 5:30. We're about a minute away. We're a minute away from starting. Who's batting after us? STL and Stevie P. IT Stevie P. BVP Stevie P. And he's going to be talking all about Dustin Pedroia. Before we get out of here, is there anything you want to say to the people before we leave? Anything you want to say to DirecTV before we leave?
It's not DirecTV. It's Time Warner. And like I said, I think actually EMAC works for Time Warner. Hopefully he's not on the end of that phone call because, like I said, I feel bad for the person that's going to have to deal with my ranting, which is going to be expletive-driven likely after this. But I apologize for the technical difficulties. I guess it's something on my end. I'm not agreeing with Skype, but either way, thank you guys for bearing with us. And you got anything else?
Oh, no, you cut off there for a second. All right, we'll say goodbye because, like I said, STL and Stevie are waiting. Check the weather forms for any weather updates. I assume there's going to be one, and obviously keep your eye on weather elsewhere because there could be some issues we don't want to get bitten like we got bit last night. At least some of us did. All right, 5:30. We're out of here. Holler.